Hi, welcome to the Best of Mount Shasta. I'm Andrée Morgana, and I put together the Best of Mount Shasta in 2008. And the reason I put it together was I had come up here for about 25 years before I moved up here. And during that time, I was just doing what I found later everybody else does, and that is come up on a spiritual journey, or you want some rest and relaxation, you go to the mountain, you go to the nature spots, and then you go home again, and you never meet anybody. And I found that was true. And all those years that I'd come up here, I didn't meet the local community. And then once I got up here, I started to meet everybody, and it was a real eye opener because these are people that live within this spiritual environment all the time. And it's affected all of their teachings just by being here by virtue of the mountain, really. So in about 2011, I had started it out as a conference and festival. And I met Fred Noble and his wife at the Best of Mount Shasta. And I quickly understood that this is a special person, that he has gifts that he's had all his life. And at the festival, when people would just come up and engage in normal conversation, he was starting to tell them all about themselves, and they were sort of taken back because everything was really true. So it's a special moment for us to know Noble Fred is how we all call him. And I would, without further ado, would like to bring in Noble Fred, and he will start with a calling in before he speaks. But I also want to say one other thing, that the first time I met him, he told me why he came to Mount Shasta, what was the calling. And it's a fun story, and he will be telling that today as well. So yes, Noble Fred, continue.
Thank you, Andrée. I appreciate this. I'm honored to be here today. I ask the Divine to help me to share that connection with my soul that He gives me with you of light. How I came out here was I was laying in bed like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden I got to go to Mount Shasta. And I said, well, I don't drink pop. And they said, no, go to Mount Shasta. And I said, no, I don't drink pop. So it went on. Finally, I said, okay, I'll ask my wife about what is Mount Shasta. I never heard of it. So next morning I asked her on the way to work, carpooling, and she said, it's a mountain in Northern California. And I said, wow. She said, why? I said, we're going. So we came and met some nice people, did the work that Divine called me to do, and here I am today. And I've been here for a few years now, and I just love it.
I thought we'd thank you. What I really laughed about it with that story when I first heard it was when you said pop, and then I didn't think, well, what was pop? Because I was thinking about Mount Shasta, and then I realized you were talking about a drink.
Yeah.
And so it just always, it sort of tickled me whenever I realized that, that's how it was. But it also brings up the point that a lot of people come here just because they're called, just
Right.
like you were, and you didn't know even what it was that was calling you.
Yeah. What I found out was there's people out here because of what Divine shared to me, to them. And they come out here and I said, what are you doing out here? They said, well, you told me to. I said, I don't remember that. So for me, I know it. It's for them, it's for them. I find in a normal conversation like this, you start asking questions. I start answering whether you ask me or not. It's because the Divine is working through me to help you.
And that's what you do today, and you're quite remarkable at how you do it. And I want to have that conveyed during the show today. But in talking about the show before the show, we were talking about that. I'd like you to start out sort of how it was you grew up here. How, what was your childhood like? Did that, where did you find spirituality within that, or did that lead you to spirituality later? I'm interested in having the people know a little bit about you, and then the later part of the show, they'll be able to see all the gifts that you have to offer.
Okay.
So what was it like?
Well, thank you. That's something I only talk about, my personal growing up, but I feel it needs to be said at this time. I grew up in an abused family, alcoholic family. Everybody was alcoholics. I was a black sheep of the family. I was told I'd never be no good. I went to school and thought my name was, it starts with a son of a bitch. I didn't know what my name was until I went to school. And then I had my father try to kill me because he found out that I wasn't his child. And I don't still today. I don't know who my father is, but I really don't care because God, my father, is my father. I know a lot of men I met that don't know who their father is, and women, who their mothers are. But our true mother and father is divine. And that's really helped me a lot. But some people have the urge to know that. I was abused by my aunts and my uncles, my cousins. I was constantly told to be no good, I'd never be anything. One time I bought my mom a car, and the salesman said, well, you must really like your favorite son, you bought your car. I said, no, he's not. I heard that a lot. But I worked, and I fed the family. Mom would be gone, so I would stay home, change diapers, take them to school, taught them to cook and stuff. I became the parent, so I lost my childhood. But I lived through that. And I made the choice. I used all the abuse things to me to help people find commonality. So I can share what I experienced, and they experienced the same thing. It's not just me. But I was able to overcome this because I wanted to. I made a decision I wanted to stay in poverty and abuse. I chose not to. So I started making new friends. That was one of the hardest things. And then, actually, when I went to Vietnam, it was a blessing for me. I got away from all that brutality, the beatings, and the abuse, and it never ended. And like I said, it was a whole family, it just wasn't one. But what happened was, I didn't realize I was older. The angels would come in and take me out of body. Then the body would suffer the abuse, but then they would bring me back into my body. And I didn't have that scarring in my soul. But for a long time, it took me a long time, because when I got in any conflict at all, I would leave the body be there. It became a habit. It took me years to realize it's important that I stay in my body and face the conflict. I'm sure I'm not the only one that experienced it. I just know this. But I didn't know it until I got older. And then one time, I was watching the Dowders on the black and white TV in the 50s, and they found water. So I went out, picked up a stick, it was Y-shaped, and I walked through my grandfather's land and found water, and it jerked it out of hand, scared me. I ran in the house and crawled underneath the bed. But then I went to school. I always knew the question. I didn't have to study. I had a natural intelligence. Well, a little bit I did go to school. I carried A's. My family told me that I didn't need to go to school because they only went to the 5th grade. They would tell me, I'm too old for Christmas. I'm too old for my birthdays. And I had nightmares of my father trying to kill me and my mom. But I didn't know who it was that was doing it. And it wasn't until a few years that I realized that it was them. As I developed more of who I am, because I was 30 years old, I didn't want to be on earth. I didn't want to be here. I hated it because of all the abuse I experienced. So one day I just said, Divine, I surrender. And that's when my powers came into my body and I started helping people. Once I surrendered to Divine, my life totally changed. Like I said, I was alcoholic, but it was because of my alcoholic parents. So AA didn't help me. And then because of that, I taught inner child work. Because people like me don't have childhood. We become the parent, and become the parent of the parents. And just the way it is. But because of all this, again, I am the man I am today because of all that, because I can share it with you, and we find something in common, and we can work together on that. Because you can see who I am today versus who I was then. People don't think that that's what I experienced. As a rule, I only talk to the ones that have come to me. They come to me, we start talking, And I just automatically start answering her questions. And it's just a natural thing. The divine flows through me. Like our Vietnam veterans, we used to say, and most of them do, I should have been dead. I even thought that for years once I got out of Vietnam. I know other vets feel the same way. But what really helped me get through this, what it was, my friend came home, was older than me, and he was a veteran. And I said, what got you through Vietnam? And he said that if they can do it, I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it, what I do. And I've used it to get through Vietnam. I use it to get through my life. It's very powerful. Sometimes the shortest words are the most powerful one.
You were going to talk about the love affirmation.
Oh, here's another thing that in my recovery, I found adults and alcoholics. So I went to their conference meetings, and there was a lady there, and the people were nice, because we all understood we were alcoholics because our parents gave us alcohol when we were little. So they have entertainment, they laugh at us and stuff. There's a lot more I could tell you, but this really helped me, and I'd like to show you how to do it. So you look in the mirror in your face, because I could not look at myself in the face. So I forced myself to look in the mirror. I put my hand on my heart like a dog. Then I slowly petted it, and I stared in the mirror. It was really hard because up to that time I couldn't look in the mirror myself. And I would say, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And then when I got comfortable with that, I would vision myself or imagine myself, whatever word you want to use, as being naked. I have not found one person that's happy with their body. So you envision that, and then you would do the same thing. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. You can say that as long as you feel comfortable with it, then you can get naked, look in the mirror, and see your actual body. Say, I love myself. I love myself. This has really helped me a lot. When I do that, I feel nice and calm. I feel relaxed. It's helped me to get rid of this trauma in my life, slowly but surely. Process all that stuff going up. But long ago, I made a choice. I did not want to be like that. I didn't have a father, so I didn't know how to be a father. So I decided what kind of father I wanted to be, and that's how I parented my children. I didn't know about grandparents. They were there, but there again, like I said, the black sheep family. So I would treat them the way I wanted to be treated as a grandchild. So I didn't have that, but I still had to do it. And they come up to me and they tell me how good I am. Maybe it's because I didn't have that experience. The experience I had and that I shared with them were totally different. And my son comes up today and he tells me, thank you, you did this to me when I was younger, and I really appreciate that. So we have a choice in life. I chose and step out of it, make new friends, and use the abuse to find commonality with it, and I help.
What I found was interesting when I first met you, Fred, was we were at the conference, and you were just walking around and being part of the conference, and people would come up to you and they would receive healings. And you explained it later to me that, you know, it wasn't you healing them, but you were receiving this divine love and however you want to express it. I think if you could talk about the healing process you provide and the sessions that you give for people, they'll have, because that's really the remarkable part of the story is not only have you overcome what you had to deal with when you were younger, but out of that you developed yourself as a master teacher. And so you have these gifts to give. Explain a little bit of that now to the audience so that they can understand what is special about what you're doing.
First off, I do not do the healing. I just bring in divine energy through me to help them. And I don't do the healing. Divine doesn't do the healing. You have to have faith in it and do it yourself. You gotta last week, days, month, or years. It's all put on you. And you can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Like I said earlier. And another thing, it's in the doing we learn the most. It's in the doing we learn the most. So by doing these things, I learn the most. So I just surrender to divine, and they flow through me. I don't hear a voice as it comes in and it goes out. Once in a great while, I hear a voice, and I carry a conversation. I'm talking to somebody. I believe the divine brings them to me, and next thing I know, they tell me what's wrong with them. Like that prayer about, I call them I love myself. I had a client come to me just recently, and I asked a bunch, yeah, she'd be talking, and I'd give her yes and no, no, yes, yes. And then she said that her boyfriend loves her more than she loves her. And then I hadn't used this I love myself for 30 or 40 years. I didn't need it, looking in the mirror and stuff. So I simply told her, you don't love yourself, so you can't love him. So we did a simple technique together, and she lit up and smiling. That's what I love about this work. People, energy shifts, they shine. It's just heartfelt. I'm just so happy. And this young lady lit up, and I told her what I'm going to tell you is, I would love for you to go home, share it with your family and your friends. This will make a change in your life. But you have to do it. You learn the most in the doing. And you can't do it one time. It took me months of doing that and do it. And sometimes when I go in a business meeting, I go to work, I had a bad day, I love myself, I love myself, love myself. Some of the places I've been, I didn't feel comfortable to do that. So I would just do it mentally. It's like chanting. Just chant, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. The divine energy will come into my body. I can feel the divine energy come in, and my whole body shifts. It cleans out anything less than divine. And I just feel so good. And if I can do that, you can do it. Are we good on that?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
You've been having some sessions lately. What are the things that people are seeking when they come to see you?
Okay. You can call them readings if you want. I call them sharing. I have some come to me and they ask me questions about their career. Is this business going to work? Should they move here? Should they go there? So I gave them yes, no, yes, no. As I said earlier, I've talked to people that moved out here, and I didn't know. I told them they should move out here. It was the divine calling me, through me, sharing to them that that's the most appropriate place for them at that time. I want to switch subject a bit. I'm called the groundbreaker because when I started doing this, I used to be told I work with the devil. People hate me. They wouldn't talk to me. But I kept on doing it. I knew that it needed to be said. I'm here today because divine wants me to come here because he wants to help you help yourselves. And that's why I am here, to help you help yourselves. And I will continue to do that the rest of my life. And so when we come into presence, you can ask me yes or no questions. But I don't particularly like, as a good learning experience for me was, I was in a vendor's fair and they came up wanting to do reading and they said, this lady said, you talk about whatever you wanted. So I said, well, let's talk about you getting divorced. And she jumped up and stomped and said, no, I'm not getting divorced. Then all of a sudden, this guy comes up, he wants to get a reading from me. I said, what would you like to know? And he said, just whatever you pick up on me. I said, oh, great. That was in my mind, of course. So I just started talking about my anger. And when I got done, it was just amazing. He started talking about his anger. And all he did was just smile, smile, and he said very few words. But there again, he lit up and changed. So all the abuse that I suffered as a child are learning experiences for me to help you guys today. I call them learning experiences now. So I'm glad that happened to me so I can help you guys.
When you do a reading, you have the different types of the readings.
Oh, fine.
You have the like you were saying, the question and answer.
Right.
And that's where they're asking the questions, and then you're saying that just the yes or the no, and that develops into a conversation of a whole body of information that they receive about themselves.
Right.
But how else does it go? What are the sort of the other ways in which you can help people?
Well, some of them are like me. They have childhood trauma and past life. Like this one guy in past life, he was in a war and he died with a spear in his back. And it affected his shoulder all the time. So I pulled that out. I handed it to him and I asked him to surrender that to divine. It's no longer needed and I give this back to you. And he was cured. It wasn't me. He said that. It was phenomenal healing.
How do people contact you? How do they, can you do this by the phone? Do you have to see the people in person?
No, we can do it on the phone. I've even done it on email. It's whatever divine brings to me at that time. I can do it on the phone, I can do it on Skype, I can do it on the emails. It's just not me doing it. It's divine. I allow divine to flow through my body, and he helps you.
Do you see the angels, and can you teach the people how to see that?
If that's part of their soul plan. I don't always see the angels. I know they're there. I feel them. I smell them. Like when I came in this room today, I smelled an odd smell. I asked people if they smelled it, and they said no. So I feel them. I just know they're there, and they talk to me. I carry conversation with them. I do know a lady that talks to angels and sees them, but I don't have that. But if it's really necessary, I'll see the angels. If it's really necessary, I'll see, or I don't know all this stuff all the time. It depends on the individual and what their needs are. So it's very individualized what it happens. And again, divine comes in and comes to you. And all you need is faith of a mustard seed. And you can do what I do. If I can get through it, you can get through it. And it's in the doing you learn the most.
It's been a great joy to have you, Fred, here. I know that there's a lot more you can say. You have a very limited time because I've heard a lot more of what you have to offer and the knowledge that you've gained. So even though you spent so much time talking about your childhood, really your life today is so much bigger than all of that. And I hope that people have a chance to contact you and see more of that. Because we talked about a few gifts that you have to give, but I've seen, a lot more poured from you. And what I like about it is the innocence and the simplicity of it all. And I'm sure being here in Mount Shasta has helped in that way as well. That's what I want to portray on these TV shows, is that you get to know the people in Mount Shasta that have been pursuing the spiritual, and you'll see that there's so many ways in which they're doing that. It's like each person has a piece of the puzzle. And when you start to look at the phenomena of what's happening in Mount Shasta, you see that everybody always says it's by virtue of the mountain. They'll always make some comment like that. But that there is something happening within the, you could say, the atmosphere or this place that calls people on a regular basis, and people change by that experience of just walking up the mountain, and they leave to go home, and it's all changed. So thank you so much for joining us today, and please call Fred and ask him if he can help if you have those kind of concerns. Thank you.